Caitlin, what did we do yesterday?
Oh my goodness, it's a long day, but it was good. We got to take the Professional Sales Execution Certificate Program through the Dream Reach Achieve, and gosh, we needed it. We really did.
Yeah, I found it similar. It's the same guys that we did the pre-transformation workshop with, right? And it's same thing. Like, it was a bit painful. Like, not that the course was, but that the questions, and like we were like kind of basically backed into a corner and challenged on everything we thought we knew about sales, and then kind of
our right?
Yeah. What do you think, Tarun?
Yeah, I would agree to that. And like, despite the fact that we know a lot about the company, but when the questions come like that and they're very particular, you have to like dig deeper and deeper and deeper and further, and then you get to know, okay, this is the answer. No, this is not the one. And then you keep on hitting and trying for that. So that's something was a great learning.
Yeah, and then having somebody to be able to like question like your process. Okay, well then what's the next step? And what's the next step? And there was things that we were like, Adam, you and I mostly, because up to now, for the most part, we've been the head of our own sales team essentially. But as we're bringing more people in, there's things that we do inherently that we weren't like determining as a step, but were super relevant, right? And the gaps that we never really considered before. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like pulling teeth, right? Like preparation. Yeah. And I think the one comment, I made after we went through that, like defining the sales process, right, and kind of what it is, and Bruno, the facilitator, he knew what the answer was, but he like made us struggle through it to finally get there, right? You just basically
never forget.
Yeah,
exactly.
But I think what I really noticed, because a year ago, had we taken this course, I don't think it would have been as impactful, because we hadn't struggled for a year trying to sell stuff, and we hadn't, spent a year closing a deal, or 2 years closing a deal, or given stuff away for free only to have it, not really valued, or tried this and tried that and fell into that my mistake and screwed that up. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, totally.
Till we'd like walk in the trial, and then it's like, okay, now you're ready. Right? Here's how it works.
Like, you don't fully appreciate it until you suffered a little bit, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I'm really excited. We've got 2 more days.
What was that, Tarun? Sorry?
Yeah, sorry. I was saying that even like the sales process, when we think of a sales process, we look at inquiries, we start calling them, or we meet them, and then we try to close it. So it's not a big process, but we actually deciphered that in like a 10 to 12 step process. And that was kind of the big learning for me, I would say. Yeah, never thought around that. Like,
yeah, and how timely, right? Like literally last Friday, like 3 days ago, we came up with a list of like 12 companies that we thought would be really great candidates, and we were like, okay, now what? Right?
Yeah.
So how perfect to like go back and then re-examine this after learning this, and maybe approach it in a slightly more strategic way, right?
And the thing that I really liked too is it's not just the process, but like planned practicing. Like, it seems silly, like practicing, but we had started doing that, like especially bringing you on, and we had started saying, okay, now go sell me, like, okay, and pretend. And we were starting doing it. But how important is it? Because Adam, you even said you still refine what you're doing.
Oh yeah, like the 30-second pitch in a networking thing, I change it different every time, and I kind of just see if heads nod or places go blank, right? But just like, okay, I'm a client and I think that consultants are too expensive and not worth the money. Go. What do you say? Right? So just like kind of practicing that kind of stuff, and you just get in the habit of, even doing a couple of those every day, I think is just good to do. And now I've kind of reinforced this idea, right? So.
Yeah, and the concept that everybody can sell.
Yeah, 100%, right? Everyone is BD for us right now, right? And hopefully as we grow, we're able to maintain that mentality, but then it comes down to this sales process, right? And Caitlin, you had a cool idea about, let's model our SharePoint or use part of it after the sales process exactly. So people are, it is very clear that this is what happens and when, and these are the tools you can use, and here's the email templates if you've got them or whatever, right?
Yeah. Well, think about how powerful that would be. And I mean, everybody knows somebody who could be a potential client. Right. And you unleashed that and had your product and service so clear that every single one of your people could essentially sell for you and understood it and the power of it. That, like, that's huge. Like, why you wouldn't need to spend money on ads.
Right?
Yeah. I would say, like, even that's a very valid point made by Kate. Like, if you know something that the process is common throughout the company, it's even more effective when you're discussing things, because then you know actually at which stage of the process you're having more problem, and it's then much more easier because you've identified the problem and then try to solve it after that. Instead of just getting vague thing, okay, we're not getting the leads or we're not converting it, but where exactly is the problem for that?
So just to finish off here, the most impactful thing about day one. Go for you.
Tarun, start.
Oh, sure. I would say the best example was the difference between a farmer and a hunter. The way farmer takes his time to reap the benefits, and the way hunter also is doing the same thing, but in a more fast-paced manner. And the second thing is the hit and trial is the key to success for all the inquiries. Yeah.
What about you, Caitlin?
Oh, for me, it was honing in on our 3 services. Like, we have been dancing around that and like talking about it, and like we had it all kind of jumbled around, but honing in on grow business leads, build internal engagement, and small to medium-sized business structure improvement and coaching.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Maybe some wordsmithing to remember.
So we need some wordsmithing, yeah, but those 3, like honing in on those and being like, this is what we do. We rob banks, right? Just like Bonnie and Clyde. Well, we don't. Enta does not rob banks. Let me just qualify that. But Bonnie and Clyde knew what they did, and now like we can turn around and be that certain in what we do. And I think that's going to be super powerful for us going forward.
Totally.
Yeah. Adam, yours?
Well, you guys stole some really good ones, but I guess I'll have to say the baton passing is the next one that comes to mind, right? You know, you talked about, you know, the farmer keeping clients and the hunter getting new clients, and the, you know, narrowing down your long list of services to what really are the 3 things you do, and then what are the features and all that. And then the next part is, what is that sales process and who does what? Because right now, Caitlin and I have done pretty much all of it, but at some point we're going to want to be able to define this well enough that we either only need to be involved at strategic points or even not at all for some reasons, right? You know, I'd love for Tarun, for example, to be able to just, you know, meet someone, engage them, sell them, close them, and just let us know on Monday, right? You know.
Here, yeah, we're kicking off this project, guys. That'd be great.
Yeah, right. Welcome to the kickoff. So, you know, these things, and I was all from day one. We got 2 more full days. So kind of like,
I know.
Oh my God, what are we going next? That was so much, and you know, it was pretty.
But you're absolutely right, Adam, and part of that, the benefit of what it was, I think, is that, like, could we have sat down and come up with a process on our own? Yeah, maybe. Would we have gotten as far as we did and to the depth of what we needed to and had those epiphanies without Dream, Reach, Achieve? Probably not.
Right. You know, Bruno's been through it, right? Like he's suffered through this longer than we have. So, and I think that's something we really pride ourselves on, is seeking, you know, mentors and expert advice and listening and putting that into action, right?
Right.
So, yeah, super looking forward to Wednesday, and yeah, let's see what happens.
Here we go.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So we finished day 2 of the professional sales certificate program through Dream, Reach, and Achieve. What did you guys think?
I thought day 2 was very eye-opening and shed a lot of light to the efficiency at which we were operating.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. Hey, I was pretty fried by the end of the day. Not gonna lie.
Fried was a good one. Like, yeah, we got into some really amazing detail that I've been dying to get into with kind of like our offer and price points and how, like, what do you need to sell in order and how many, right? And then like taking it to the next level. Like, if you're gonna hire someone to sell for you, how do you interview them? How do you, like, that was amazing. You know, and it was such a valid point, like having that little role play come on, right, with Miranda and being like, oh yeah, like Miranda's awesome. She's like super personable. Like I totally hire her. And then it was like, oh wait, maybe we should make sure she can do this. Like, what are our expectations? That was huge.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say like the best learning for me was deciding the product mix. We always get confused that do we sell the low ticket item more or do we sell the high ticket item less to get the same revenue, and finding a balance between them was the biggest learning for me yesterday. And undoubtedly Bruno is a great coach.
Yeah, it was really interesting. It almost takes the approach of like, imagine your company has a call center and like, how are you going to sell and what are you going to sell, right? And like, you know, at first you might say, well, it's complicated. We sell this, that, and the other, but we're not allowed to say complicated. So it's like, actually, it's not that complicated, right? We sell 3 things. And there's some features and details about them, but essentially it's 3 things. And, you know, we should sell this and the other. And then, yeah, we spent what, like 3 hours inside a spreadsheet?
Like I definitely had a headache by the end of that, but I didn't want to stop. Like, we were getting so into what we needed to get into to be able to do proper projections and like tie it to the rest of like where our business strategy should take us. Like, how do people not do this in their business? Right?
Well, you know, and that's the cool thing, right? Like, on our own, I don't know that we would have gotten there. Well, maybe eventually, but this just like hammered us through or accelerated us, right? And now, and what I also really like is that we got to be very transparent with the numbers with everybody, right? About like what the cost, and that now we can say, you know, hey Tarun, like, are we undercharging for this stuff? What do you think, right? Or how can we do it better so that, yeah, we can charge the same amount but actually work less or whatever, right? Like,
seeing everything laid out in a logical format, just it allows you to look at everything more efficiently. And then the other thing that was really beneficial is that the planner, how to plan to execute what you've learned, right? So then you know, okay, well, I need to, like Tarun was saying, I need these products at this many to get the same revenue as those products. But when do you do these things? Right?
Yeah,
so you have a plan to success.
Right.
Indeed. And I also love the movie references that Bruno keeps on pushing, because I never thought of movies like that. Be the Man or the other ones. I never thought it like that. So like the battle is not lost till the news is lost. Sorry, yeah. Sorry, Adam.
The coffee is for closers, right?
Yeah.
You're Gillen Ross.
Now you can't leave.
Yeah, exactly, right? So
yeah.
I have no idea what's in store for us on day 3. Like we've gone through so much in whatever, it's been like 16 hours of straight work. Like, we're talking like 5-minute breaks here and there, but other than that, it's pretty intense, right?
Pretty intense too.
Yeah, but still beneficial. Like, Adam, you and I kind of would have a sense of it. It's not like we were completely out to lunch, right, on our stuff. We'd have a sense of it, but to see it broken down, the details of each number, of each package, of each offer was so powerful for decision making that I couldn't believe we weren't already doing this. Like, this is going to take us to 11.
Totally.
Goes to 11. That's one of the videos that Bruno needs to incorporate. but this one goes to 11.
Yeah, there you go. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm excited for Friday tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll see
I'm also
where-
excited for the finale.
Yeah, right.
Right.
All right. Excellent. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Certificate training by Dream Reach Achieve. How do you feel this morning?
I'm ready to be closing, man. Look, I even
Coffee
got
is for closers.
coffees for closers.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I would say. I'm also eagerly waiting to go now because now we have a structured plan to go after all the leads that we have.
Mhm.
So really motivated for this Monday today.
Yeah, it was. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty saturated going into Friday. It was like my brain was full, but
Fire hose.
yeah. But I'd say I was pretty shocked when he pulled out 3 actual leads and made us cold call them live.
Right.
Absolutely.
Oh my god.
You were surprised. He goes, I need a volunteer. And I'm knowing,
I'm in.
volunteer for what? Never again will I volunteer without knowing what the consequences are. That was intense. That was intense.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Terrifying.
because these queries were real and then the questions were also like so true. And it's not that these were hard ones. Typically, inquiries were like that only. And the questions that were coming up with, why should I trust you? I've done those things before. How are you different? Are like pretty obvious. We find them to be pretty cliched because no, we know it, we are different, but they don't know that we are different. So understanding them, what we think about the business is the most challenging thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Totally. And listening to yourself on camera afterwards, where we like timed how long did we talk, how long did they talk, how many times did we say I, how many times say you. Oh, like as I was listening to myself and ugh.
I felt the same way. But you know, we got to practice. Like it's funny, I don't think in business we take time to practice very often, right? And that was one of their points, is like, you're on the field or you're in the game or you're on the bench. Like, where are you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there, there's the cold calling strategy, and then like presentation strategy, all this, like how to answer the objections, right? In like very clear, concise terms without rambling on about something, right? So
That's
I don't know.
the part, is like stopping yourself from rambling
Mm-hmm.
and asking questions that actually achieve something, right? Like pointed questions where you let the other person talk so you can actually gain insight to be able to give them the right solutions. Like,
yeah, like I love the lead scoring, right? Here's your list of things you need to find out from this call. Right?
Totally.
Not just like, hey, how's it going? Like very directed. But you know what? After doing that one cold call and then evaluating like every second of it after, the amount I learned is incredible. Like if I had an opportunity to do that again, I think I would do, not just a little better, but like 10 times better.
Well, funny enough, like you never get a chance to analyze, like we don't ever take the time to analyze, how did that really go? And then have 3 people or 4 people tear it apart.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, second by second,
Yeah.
Right?
Agreed.
Somebody could tell you, don't say that, but until you say it and you're like, oh, I see what happened, right? You don't really think about it.
Yeah, and the guys that we were calling, they weren't, all warm and fuzzy either. They were like, yeah, okay, what do you want?
So what? I'm busy.
Yeah, So yeah, real eye opener for me, just in terms of setting up the sales process, and very timely, I think, for where we're at in our business.
I think it's gonna like rocket launch us.
Mm.
Yeah, we hope for the best, and I would completely agree that there's no doubt COVID has impacted all the businesses around us. In fact, all, I would say here, and that was evident in the talks that we were having. And when we dissected it, we were able to identify, okay, this is what we should have said, and this is what we should not have said, or maybe consider a different way of saying that. So dissecting does make a lot of impact. I completely agree. If I do that call again, might be better for sure.
I really like Tarun. My favorite. I loved how you opened yours. You were like, "Hello, this Tarun. You're probably wondering why I'm calling you on a Friday." Like, I thought that was perfect, right? Like, I don't know, it was so good. But in terms of the course, right? The course was not cheap, but it was 3 full days, and I would say the amount of sophistication and knowledge we got is equivalent to hiring like an experienced sales professional to build us like a sales department. You know what I mean? So in that sense, it doesn't compare at all. Like, how much would you have to pay a person like that? Like 6 figures? You know? So that's.
It was lucky for us to have Bruno there.
Away with like a complete strategy process, right? Like the value is huge. The value is absolutely huge, and we get to build off of it as process people. We will. We'll automate what we can.
Yeah. Well, I think what I really liked is he gave us the process and the structure, and then he said, "Okay, you guys know nothing about recruiting," which is absolutely true. They're like, "Let's role play. I'm going to ask questions. You're going to be cold calling for recruiting." And just by following the structure, we were able to perform pretty well, right? So it's like, you don't have to be, super charismatic, a super like used car salesman type guy. You just have to know what you're there to do, what you're supposed to ask, what the answers are, and you got it all laid out for you, and you'll do fine. Right?
Totally.
Agreed. And I would say, like, I've done sales a lot in my life, but even after the course, I was like, okay, I lack so many things in doing a sale properly, I would say. So it's always a great learning.
100%. Anyway, huge thank you to Dream Reach Achieve. It was incredibly valuable. And I think, again, similar to the pre-transformation, it pushed us years in terms of maturity of our thinking in our business in a short time. So
here's the next question. Which is the next one we're going to get?
Right? I was looking at that because there's like a leadership one, there's a great customer service one, there's I think an interviewing one.
Interviews.
People. Actually, that one would be of interest to me because
people would be good.
Anyway, but yeah, I could see us.
If sales works out and has huge returns, we're going to need that interview one.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe there is some method to Bruno's madness.
All right, Bruno, get ready.
I will add one more point before we end up. Like, it was even more enjoyable doing it with the team, because then you were able to actually identify that, okay, this is what the other person would need, this is what the other person is strong at, so you can actually complement them at the right places, I would say.
Good point.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You could see how the 4 of us, right, Jen was there too, like with all our skills and talents combined, you made like one super awesome salesperson, right? So now we're supposed to go learn from each other and make 4. Right?
Exactly.